Okay, I think we are live, Burb.
Nice.
Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and hit the interactive thingamabob. Timer. There you go. Fire away. Okay. That should do it. Whoo! How's your Sunday been today, Burb?
Good. Just relaxing.
That's good, that's good. It's been non-stop today. Been doing camera work. Been actually doing some last-minute studying on that too. All the things. Whew. Oh, this is the wrong slide. There we go. Gotta have this one for the trilogy. Perfect. And then on Discord, I need to put that in streamer mode. Oh, it is on streamer mode. I just picked it up late. There we go. But no, I'm glad we've been able to do like the interviews and stuff, Yolas, because like I think it kind of accidentally introduced like a new category, which has been really exciting, because we've been doing a person, place, thing kind of deal, and then we've also been doing conceptual stuff. And so being able to have this third one, I feel like it's something that everybody's been wanting to do. Like, it's been really exciting to, like, be, like, on TV. Like, Mom, I'm on TV! It's exciting! But, like, at the same time, it's meaningful.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I've been on TV a few times.
Ooh, that's cool.
Not the main focus, but... yeah, what was it? I think I do have it like bookmarked. You know PBS?
Oh heck yeah, I know PBS.
Yeah. So I guess they have a specific for this for Kentucky. They do a show called Kentucky Life, and they like go around Kentucky and interview people and stuff. And one of the people that they interviewed was my orchestra director when I was at my bachelor's college. And they came in to record a masterclass with me and my two friends. We were doing the Mozart Divertimento trio. That's a very hard piece. There's a funny story about that. The reason why Mozart made that because he was flat broke and he gave that piece to his like loan shark.
Oh my goodness.
He made it like really because he was an amateur musician, but he made it like kind of hard for him, where it's a hard piece.
That's wild. Holy cow, so you got to be interviewed for something like that?
Yeah. No, just in recording, two of my friends got interviewed about our director, but they were like seniors anyway.
I see.
Yeah. I think it was like I think it's before COVID, so I think it was a sophomore.
Oh, okay. Just making sure that things look right, because I have different profiles on OBS. Like, I can list them off.
Right.
Oh, never mind. I can't. They have it blocked. But I have, for profiles, I have a Twitch test. I have Twitch itself. There's also one that goes directly to localhost of all things. What that is essentially what I'm doing here. So this is its own little stream, but I figured out how to stream it to my own computer. So when I'm not doing multi-person stream here, then it just saves resources and I can have full bandwidth for this stream.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. I'm also kind of like happy right now because we're cheating the system. I think right now the YouTube player in VR chat is broken. So it helps to have some in-house stuff going on right now. This is good.
Right.
Bum, bum. That's cool. You know, it's not often that you get to like be on TV for like an interview or something. It's pretty exciting. My older sister, she used to be part of something called, well, I don't know if I should say the name, but she was part of like a cooking school. We would call it cooking class. But she got to be on the local news for that because like they would teach some young kids how to actually I guess make actual dishes, and she's gotten like hundreds of recipes from that.
Actually, don't watch my video because I realized that was before I kept my beard.
Oh.
Pre-shaven violas. I look 12.
Oh my goodness.
No. Oh god. Oh god. Yeah. No. I don't like that. I was wearing like a nice outfit, but like.
It's kind of like you remind me when I knew a guy named Ben at my college, and
Me too. Is it the same Ben?
Is it the same Ben? I don't know. He went to my state and then he went to your state. It was so funny because he had a beard, and then like one day he came into class and he sat next to me and he goes, "Hey, what's going on?" I like start laughing because he looks so different. Oh dear.
Yeah, I knew my Ben as like he had long hair, but he showed me a young picture. I think he gets his hair short now, but he showed me a picture of him with short hair. It's like, you are not the same person.
Oh my goodness. Hair just does a lot to really change like the aesthetic of somebody in general, which is it's so funny because my dad wants me to grow a beard, and I'll grow one for a while, and he goes, "Oh son," because I'll shave it off.
Yeah, I think since like I couldn't like go anywhere during like COVID, I think it's just let it grow to the point where like we had to cut it.
Right.
I think I took a picture of me. It was like me. It was like I had like 1 or 2 classes that were on campus, but you had to wear a mask. So it was me with my my mask, and then you see like hairs under.
Oh my god!
And then like I think my hair was so long that I parted it like this, like big out emo, because that was funny.
Oh,
and then
gosh.
like I think I made like a private TikTok where someone's singing the one song. I don't know if it's a Blink-182 song, but it's like, because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
Oh no.
Just the over again, don't make me change my mind. Which, by the way, is one of my sister's favorite songs, so they can't judge.
You got full emo and you lived through it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, once my sister, who like I mentioned, does my hair and stuff, she went to school for it. She said, "Can I keep it?" She went, "No." I always tell her like, "Hey, can I do this haircut or can I dye my hair?" No. She's brutally honest.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be back. Be a little bit after stream. Okay, this sounds good. Thanks for stopping by for like 2 seconds, Daisuke.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. He was playing Chromatic Brothers. Is that what it was? It was
Yes.
Chromatic 4 or something. But he was playing that. It looked interesting. I took quick glances. I was mostly doing some studying. It looked very Power Rangers-esque. He was doing that earlier. So funny, I think, let's see, let's look at the 15 sec. So that's like 15-second delay from what's actually happening. So by now, the timer's probably up. Nope, 5 more seconds over there. And then we get 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
There you go.
We got it. One more thing. We got it. Sorry, I'm not Apple. They Oh my gosh, we made it. Oh, let me go ahead and remove that shadow that I created just for the timer, and we'll go ahead and commence our little spiel that is happening at the moment. Okay. Hello, everybody. It's very good to see you. We have had a very big adventure over the past, I'll say realistically, about 5 weeks. It doesn't sound right, but hear me out. What has happened is we were in the process of working on Music and Dragons from the very start. About 5 weeks ago, I was trying to set up studies, prepare, and all that. Violas and I, we were talking about stuff before all that. And then I took a break from Discord. And then I came back to Discord. Then we studied some more. Then we talked to Violas some more. And then we actually got over here without rehearsal, and we got in here and we just wound up speaking. And then we did it again because apparently there was a lot more after that. And then we're doing it again! We're here. We're on the final chapter. I hope, I feel like it should be. I think we got this. This shall be an awesome experience. I hope so. But good to see you. Throughout this whole context, there's a whole lot of context that, like, I'm trying to dish out all at once. But this has been longer in the making. It's unexpected. But here's what we've covered. We've covered Burb. That is the first part of it. We understand Violas as a upcoming master's in music and education, which is actually a much longer name according to what he has told me. We've gotten to know that, no, he's not going to do my W2. That is an important thing to understand. Yes, he will teach you music if you are in his classroom. Yes, music is quite a bit. There's so much diversity into it that you can barely explain everything there is to know because it is such a vast topic. Now further down, music and dragons. This is the other half of it. Viola's here is the bird Durg? Did I just make, I made that up just now, that's weird. Bird Durg! He's a bird dragon. So we have to get to the other half. We're gonna be talking about dragons today. This is gonna be a lot more impromptu, mainly because dragons themselves actually have, like, a strange origin, right? Some say they have some reality pieces to it. Some others have tried to create their own custom aspects of what a dragon could be. And we're gonna explore all those topics today. It should be pretty interesting, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to dive pretty deep into various different aspects. Unlike a lot of the just chatting streams that we've done for person, place, or thing, there is actually not a lot of concrete evidence for dragons specifically, if you think about it from one perspective. On the other, there's actually a lot of information about width, height. Can dragons breathe fire? Do they enjoy music? Like, all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of psychology that we could dive deep into, and that's exactly what we're going to be getting in ourselves today. And in fact, we've gone full MatPat in a couple of spots, and we've done some height theorization in some of these areas. So, as a little bit of a preface, we'll have conversations about what dragons are, how they relate to music, how they may relate to real life. It's going to be quite interesting. We'll see how things ultimately play out. Okay, and for context too, the creation of all this was, generally speaking, in something that happened after the fact, after the music side was all finished. Because of that, it was actually about 4 kilobytes. I was talking to Violas about this before the stream started. The file size is about 4 kilobytes. Music was about 18.5. However, thanks to the fact that this stream has actually gone on for a little bit, I had the pleasure of adding in some more information today that I was actually going to try to pop in. It was going to be like cutting room floor stuff. Like I wasn't actually going to be able to cover it just due to the limited amount of time. Now we have all the time. So I was able to flesh out the rest of the things for the dragon side of Music and Dragons, and we'll be able to talk about everything. Hopefully so. My impression, I'm going to probably curse it, is that the stream itself maybe a little bit shorter today. We'll have to see. Maybe not. We'll have to find out. But overall, yes, that is kind of like the body of what it is. To summarize, before we even get started, dragons themselves are going to be interesting because they are working off of a lot of mythology. There's a lot of scripture that goes into them. There's also a lot of references from TV shows, movies, and I'll let you know, part of my homework was to watch a very important documentary. I even went to the library for this one. This is going to be very interesting, folks. We'll see how this winds up playing out. Without further ado, let's get going. Oh, I accidentally swallowed some food coloring. Oh no, the doctor says I'm okay, but I feel like I died inside. Hi there, Fire Cat. It's very good to see you. Thanks for stopping by today. Hope things are going all right. My goodness. Did you survive your Sunday today? Did you wind up having a nap? Did you wind up having some good food? I'm asking the very chef who actually makes really good food. We'll find out. Without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to stop talking about the introduction, and we're going to talk all about dragons. We got this. We have a total of 20 slides today. Let's see if we can burn through them. Do 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 do. Okay. This one's probably not gonna last very long right here on this slide, but we'll go ahead and fire things up. In terms of dragons themselves, they're kind of interesting, right? They have been a piece of legend that's actually been a part of humanity's storytelling for ages and ages. Thousands of years, actually. It's been very fascinating, nonetheless, to understand that dragons aren't just a concept that, like, some people created in the medieval times or whatever, right? Dragons themselves have a history and storytelling that go across not just generations, but various different countries. So, in general, dragons themselves have a long history in just like humanity's storytelling, but they're very compelling too, at least in the Western concept of a dragon. We have fire-breathing, gigantic beasts here that are so much larger than a human being. And the concept itself of trying to actually fight one down, it's quite interesting for somebody to like maybe throw a sword at them and attempt to give it their best shot to be able to defeat something that is ultimately periling the kingdom. It's very novel. It's something that's been around for generations and generations. Across various different generations and countries and stuff, we're going to be going over various different types of dragons and where they come from culture-wise, and we'll even discuss like some of the modern stories that we even talk about with on dragons themselves and how they relate to what we do in everyday life. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start talking about some of the earliest origins in general. And then we'll move on to some of the other countries' other storytelling when it comes down to dragons in general. So let's fire it up. Let's hit this. Okay. We're going to be starting out with a section that is very much related to where I come from, which is the Bible, or the Bible. So, in general, we do have references of dragons inside the Bible itself. It's fascinating because this is a theme that you'll actually see across multiple countries and cultures. Dragons themselves, like, unlike what we would anticipate, they're very much like water dragons in a lot of cases, right? So these are giant sea monsters that wind up going through the oceans everywhere. They wind up being very ferocious and very dangerous. In the Bible, they actually start talking about one over in Isaiah and Psalm. They talk about a beast named Leviathan. This is a very interesting beast, and it actually has a discrete description on it. We can actually point it out. So, actually, before I get into that, it's one of those things where, like, in terms of dragons, they have broad definitions. We have a definition in the Bible here, but I have a mission across the entire study that we are doing with dragons. Since they have broad definitions, we have questions that we want to answer. We have, how big is a dragon? What kind of stuff would they want to eat? How many actually like to breathe fire, or how many can breathe fire? How many fly? And then how many heads do these dragons typically have? So we'll try to answer all these questions as we go about various different dragon references. So we'll start with this one, the Bible here. Leviathan is one of these dangerous monsters that wind up plaguing the oceans in some of the most earliest points of the Bible. They are a water dragon, so they don't necessarily have wings. In this picture right here, it does show that it has wings, but it doesn't actually explicitly mention that in the Bible. In terms of the actual design of it, it's fascinating because it talks about like a whole bunch of shields going down their back. So it's kind of like these large scales, right? To be able to describe a dragon like that is very, very big. In terms of like the actual height, it doesn't actually give us any like specific height dimensions or anything like that in the Bible. If it were to give us some height, one fact about the Bible is that it typically will measure things in cubits. That's something that you'll see quite frequently, especially in the book of Exodus. So, for context, a cubit is actually a very interesting measurement. It's half your arm. So it's kind of broad, but in general, that means that you would have to say, okay, based off of like Noah's like arm right here, how many cubits would it take to actually set up an ark? You can actually kind of get a good understanding, like in the context of the flood, when it talks about Noah and the amount of cubits that it has, it gets down to the very specific dimensions, and when people measure it out, based off of like the average height of a human male, they can figure out that like the ark is meant to be really, really big and store a lot of animals. In this case, Leviathan here, they don't really talk about like the dimensions of Leviathan, unfortunately. So what we have here is just more of a artistic depiction of what Leviathan could have looked like. It also says here, which is interesting, it's a multi-headed sea dragon. So we got our first kind of dragon here, but it also has multiple heads. So since like the very beginning, if you wind up thinking about it in a biblical perspective, this is one of those that actually have a whole bunch of heads on it. So we don't know how many, but in general, it's a very interesting beast right off the bat. And they say that God takes him down, which is very interesting. It also says here that it can breathe fire as well. So it is a fire-breathing dragon. In terms of height, we don't know. Nothing's too big for God, so it winds up being taken down. In terms of fire breathing, yes, you can do it. Can it fly? You know, I could have sworn that at some point it was talking about the leathery wings. I'm not sure in terms of like the verses that I did read this time. It didn't have leathery wings included inside the description. So not something I can really say for there. Rows of shields, so it talks about it has very big scales and whatnot. Doesn't say what kind of things that it eats, unfortunately. But there's going to be some other dragons here that will definitely have some evidence on what kind of things they would eat. So just definitely depends on what it is. Blah.
Wow.
Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. All right. That is weird. Okay, so for some reason, I am getting Discord pings, but my streamer mode is turned on. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on. I'm going to turn streamer mode off and then turn it back on. See how that goes. Okay. All right. Let us see here. But yes, that is Leviathan overall. That is a biblical sea monster that was actually one of the first mentions of dragons in general, if you end up going from the biblical perspective of things. So it's an indication that dragons themselves have been mentioned for like quite a long time in like human history. We'll go ahead and start talking a lot more about other different types of dragons too. So in my notes here, it says other cultures have their origin of dragons, including China and Japan. And that's true. We're going to actually focus quite a bit on some of the Japanese dragons as well. We previously covered some things on Japanese mythology, and one of those things might actually sound familiar. I'm staring right at Viola's. You'll probably have a familiarity with one of them. It seems to be quite a bit of origin points, making these our reference points. Wow, good notes myself. Okay, this might get interesting because we might even focus on community-based formations. That's correct. So we'll have a lot of different reference points beyond just like Japanese culture and whatnot. We'll get to those because they get very interesting and they get very MatPat-like in terms of our theorization. From here, it talks about kami, Japanese gods. So, as previously mentioned inside the Japanese culture or Japanese mythology stream, when we were talking about that, kami are essentially, they aren't like gods in the sense that like we think of God the Father from the Bible, but gods in the sense that like they are supernatural, and that they have the ability to do some things that normally humans are not able to do. So they are also not immortal. So in these cases, dragons like these can die and all that stuff. So they are different than gods themselves, and it's worth understanding that when it comes to kami themselves, God is a very difficult translation to work with because it doesn't fully translate over to what our understanding of what a god would mean. Hi, Space! Thanks for stopping by! I got your message. I was kind of like really sad about that because like, okay, so for some context, Space and I, we met over at a convention last year. It's sounding like the convention got canceled, which is really, really sad. Unfortunately, it seems like it sounds like they'll try to do it like the following year, but it seems like we won't be able to like have the opportunity to do it at this point. But yes, there's some other reasons why they were talking about it, but Space themselves wanted to make sure that like we could talk at some point with regard to other things. So unfortunately, it seems like the con that we got to meet at each other is not going to be happening at this point, but hopefully we'll be able to see each other again soon. Okay, so we talked about Leviathan, and now we're going to go ahead and move on with Japanese dragons. It shall be interesting. I also need to close Discord on my laptop because that's also making pings over here. Okay, here we go. So, Japanese dragons. They're quite interesting. The one thing that's very fascinating about Japanese dragons is that a lot of them have to do with rivers and bodies of water. So what you'll see here are going to be a lot of sea monsters in general. In a lot of these cases, that does honestly do a very big sweep on our big question, right? Can they fly? No, they probably cannot, because in a lot of cases, they're going to be swimming. And you'll see this guy's like a very big noodle, so no, he's probably not going to fly. Let us see here. let us grab anatomy. So that's the question section. We'll talk about stuff in Japan. Yep. Okay. Then also in here, in Japanese mythology, they have dragons that have 3 clawed feet overall. So that's something that is very distinct. So you'll see in like a lot of these pictures, they do have that depiction that's like accurately there. In terms of weakness, so that was interesting. As I was doing research, like, my gosh, a long time ago now, their weakness is metal. So in other words, if you were to throw or sacrifice your sword into a body of water, or in some cases you'll see some Japanese dragons get cut open, they are easily cut open because they have a metallic allergy or weakness to them. So, Violas, you don't have a metal allergy, do you? Just making sure.
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Gotta make sure Burb is strong. Oh, goodness. The best noodle. Oh, my goodness. It is a certified noodle right there. My gosh. You know what that reminds me of? There is a Japanese restaurant that I went to recently. No, it's a ramen restaurant. It reminds me of the ramen that's over there. I'll be real with you. Okay. It's a different type of ramen. I've never had this kind, but it's probably the kind that I should have. So, okay, you know, well, I was going to say local store, but you can get some ramen over at the store. Maybe it's like a 50 cents to $1. That's good. Like, I actually know how to cook some really good things with that ramen. Like, I know how to do some good stuff. If you go to a restaurant, like, oh my gosh, there's a whole different feel to that ramen. It's like really thick. It's really easy to slurp up. And it is very delicious. Holy cow. I think of that ramen, like from the restaurants. It's pretty good. It does get me thinking though, because I know I'm digressing, but there is a local sandwich shop that's over here. They make really good paninis. So in other words, it's like a flatbread kind of like sandwich that has things like turkey, mayonnaise, there's like a really light mustard, banana peppers, and all that stuff. Like, you take a good bite out of that. Oh, that's awesome. Like, the best part is that it just seems like they're making it out of like everyday stuff that you get at the store. So it's like, oh my goodness, if I can do that, that'd be great. But I also feel like the same thing could happen with noodles. I gotta figure out what kind of noodles those guys get, and you can make some really good stuff at home. Like, there's some quality things you can have with vegetables. Nice, noodles are a favorite. Oh yes, oh yes. Just don't say it in front of Noodle Saber. He would get kind of terrified. No, I'm kidding. Yes. Oh my goodness. The other half of his name, though, we need to get into Beat Saber again. That's something I have been telling everybody, but I've been not doing it at all. And we need to get Bourbon to Beat Saber too. We gotta fix his computer.
Yeah, I think it's fixed.
Oh, wait a second.
Because we were trying to do it on my old laptop.
Yeah, that's what my brain was thinking about that for a minute. You're right. We'll have to give that a shot. Have you tried Maestro?
Yeah, or try to give these guys Maestro a chance.
Oh my god, I'm gonna set a reminder. I'll set a reminder on my phone. If I'm gonna replay the stream, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, I didn't set the reminder, and then I'll set the reminder. It'll be on my phone.
Actually, wait, when's your birthday?
The opposite side. So it's in December. It's in December.
Okay, never mind then.
It's a long time from now.
Yeah, okay.
Oh goodness. Yes, Maestro looks really cool though. I want to give that a shot. Oh goodness. All right. Japanese noodles. Dragons. Let's see here. Dragons can be seen in Shinto shrines, which makes sense, right? So if they've been a very big part of the culture and they have been like long studied for that culture, it's probably something that's very engraved into what they would typically will do for like worship, for example. So I understand that completely. Let's go ahead and start talking about a particular one known as Yamata no Orochi. Let me make sure that this is correct, that we have one here. I need to ensure that this is the right slide, and if it's not, let me go here. This might be more of a general slide. Nope, this is it. Yamata no Orochi. The reason why this might sound familiar to Burb over here is because this particular noodle was an enemy in one of his favorite games. It is known as Okami. As a very interesting character, and we'll go ahead and talk more about the story in the context of Japanese mythology. So let's see here. Yup, so right here, I get really excited because I start realizing that, oh, this is Okami. And I go, whoa! So let's see. Right here, it talks about the specs of this dragon right here. It is red eyes and blood coming out of its belly. Ew! Okay. My goodness. This is one of those interesting dragons. Like, for context, like, Japanese tend to be pretty violent with how they wind up depicting a lot of these things. This is an example of that. Let's see. This dragon had 8 heads and ate someone once a year. Oh, yeah! That was the whole plot behind Yamata no Orochi. There were people who were, like, doing traveling, and then, like, every year, there was somebody that would get eaten. They were like a group of tightly knit people, and they were always like really sad and really nervous because there would be this gigantic water noodle coming out of the water, and it would just go "Ow!" and then their friends are gone. There's only one person left. Now, this person back over here, he's basically the guy that wound up slaying Yamata no Orochi at the very end of it. The goal was that it was able to be knocked unconscious, and then they were able to cut its belly open and be able to save everybody else who was actually over there. Apparently it says that this one died after getting drunk and falling asleep. That was kind of an interesting scenario. Let's see. So in terms of like the specs that we have, right? This is a very big water noodle. We don't have a specific height or anything like that. It can't fly, but it has a ton of heads. I think it said it had 7 or 8 heads overall in total, which is insane. It reminds me of like one of the dragons from Hercules too. Those things had the ability to multiply their heads near infinitely, which was crazy. Let's see. They were used to describe bodies of water. Yup. So that was a very interesting aspect of it. One of the arguments that was made in theory was why they made this story to begin with Yamata no Orochi. Their theory was because people were not making use of the waters correctly, like they were abusing them. They said that if it winds up being very ferocious, they could probably potentially scare them away. So that was a very interesting way of trying to potentially do that if that was the intent behind it, right? So if they abused the water, then they could just be eaten alive, right? By the big old dragon. I was actually kind of curious, Violas, now that I'm thinking about it in real time, like, I don't know the full plot of Okami Wolf, but like, what kind of role did like Yamata no Orochi play in that game?
So, it's been a while, but like, he was kind of like the main bad guy in the game. I don't want to say anything spoily, but like he's like the big bad guy you go after.
Right.
Like, causing like all of the darkness and whatnot.
I see. Oh, I might vaguely remember. Wasn't it that like there was a lady out there that that Yamata no Orochi got like resurrected from the dead? Is that what happened, or am I misremembering a description that I read?
So, I think what happened was like he was sealed, and then I forget names, but a player, a person that you meet in your journey somehow unleashes Orochimaru again,
Ah,
and then you have to go like seal him again.
I see.
And since you're talking about that woman, so I think it's, I don't know the exact years, but like that Orochimaru will select a female as a sacrifice by shooting an arrow at the woman's house, and then they would have to go, and then she would be sacrificed.
I see. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Let's see. I love Okami. Yes! It looks really exciting. Like, I think there's like a sequel coming out too. I think Viola's is like getting real hyped for that.
That was like, I thought I never would be hyped for like something like a game trailer or something like that, but like, I don't know if you were in the VC when I was excited, but there were a few people that we were watching it with, so they all heard my reaction.
That's funny. You're back. Hi, Daisuke. Welcome back. Does this 3-part TED Talk count as procrastination for Violas? That might be a Viola's question. Oh dear.
Oh. I am well known for procrastinating. Like, I don't ever not do my assignments. I just like push it.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
I do know from like reading about ADHD and hearing about it that like I do know that like for some it happens where you wind up doing a lot of your homework like last minute, but they say it's also very productive when you wind up doing it last minute in that case in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Like sometimes I'll do like, I mean, I won't do like papers in a day, but like I'll do them like a few days before, and then I'll get like a good grade on it, and I'm like, why did I even worry?
I get that. My goodness. Let's see. Hydrus. There's a sequel for the DS actually. Is there now? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okami Den. Yes.
Okami Den.
I should play that. Maybe when I like mod my 3DS.
Yeah.
Eventually. Yeah.
That's fascinating. Okay. I'm guessing that means it does have like a different plot line too. So like that's really cool that you said that, because what that could mean is that there could be some future lore that like pops up in like the new Okami. I wonder if they'll borrow anything from like the DS sequel if that's the case. That's interesting.
Yeah. Because you play as Amateratsu's son in that game, I think.
Interesting. Okay. So if you're playing as like a son, you wouldn't play as a wolf then, would you? Would you be playing as a different species of something?
No, S-O-N. S-O-N.
Oh, S-O-N.
S-U-N.
Oh, okay. Yes, you play as. Oh, that's cute. Go play as puppy dog. Let's see here. But yes, Yamada no Orochi. It's an interesting dragon. It has a fascinating plotline, at least for traditional Japanese mythology. Talks mainly about it being part of the ocean, or in some theories, they say that it is the ocean. In the context of Okami Wolf, yeah, that's probably a completely different enemy. Okay, clarification maybe on my end. Is Yamada no Orochi, is that shown as a dragon inside that game, or does it look like a different enemy altogether?
So it is a dragon, but it's a eight-headed dragon.
Okay. Yeah, so that absolutely does, like, they're staying true to the lore of that then. 8-headed dragon over in Okami too. Gotcha. That's good to know. What do I see here? Now, I don't know if I set up my slides in the order that I did. We have several different other ones with regard to like Greek mythology as well. So it looks like I went to a Japanese dragon, and then I went to a Greek mythology dragon, and then a couple other things. So let's see where the slides take us. I have one slide that I absolutely want to share, and I think it's funny, but we'll have to see if that one switches over first. Let's see what happens. Okay, yep. Okay, I'll try to say it as fast as I can. Guys, I went to the library, right? I had to go to the library for some very important research. When I went there, I found this amazing book, all right? I actually am going to make Car Nerd proud because I read a book in the library about dragons, all right? I found a book about this legendary dragon, and his name is Diggery-Doo. Diggery-Doo here. He is a very interesting dragon, all right? We're going to talk about his specifications. He is a 3-foot tall dragon. He has like yellow eyes, got black pupils and all that. He doesn't seem to fly in his story, but he does have wings, which, you know, that could say that maybe he could fly eventually. Mr. Diggery-Doo here, he stars in his own book named How to Help Your Dragon Deal with Anxiety. This is a very important documentary that was a part of my adventure because, like, you know, dragons themselves, they can be big, very complicated, but they also have feelings just like you and me. It's very important to understand. Diggery-Doo, he goes through a lot of different things, poor guy. So he gets worried sometimes. What if his grades aren't going to be what they are going to be, right? What if his basketball game winds up failing? What if he can't do it, right? This is stuff that makes him very upset. What if he can't go out and go camping like he wanted to? This is important dragon stuff. But according to his human says, don't worry. His human says, don't worry about what if I can't. You have to say, what if I can, right? So this dragon, he learns very carefully that you can, and you can make the most out of those things, right? And it even goes down to a beautiful Stoic philosophy. He says, don't worry about the things that you can't control. You can make the most out of what you have. So this dragon is very crucial. I think he can breathe fire. He can't fly just yet, but he has been learning a lot of different things. Aside from anxiety, I was actually looking at the book itself. I'll go back to the local library and tell you what kind of books. But it's a special dragon book, according to the inside. It says this dragon book belongs to. But the book itself is one of several different series about this documentary of Diggery-Doo. Diggery-Doo is a very important part of the research that happened overall. Let's see, learns not to be anxious. If the weather is bad and you want to go camping, don't worry about what's not in your control. Yup. That was one of the points. Yes, Diggery-Doo. He is a very small dragon. According to what our data points are so far, he's one of the smaller ones that we've encountered. It's clear that Yamada no Orochi is a lot bigger with 8 heads and whatnot, but this little guy, he's still an important piece of our documentation. Because we gotta understand that sometimes the dragons are very small, but they also have very big problems too. This dragon is very important. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to another dragon that we have. So the main point today is that we're trying to figure out what kind of things dragons have through them, right? We understand them from a Western perspective, but despite all of the things that we have understood, there's actually various different definitions of dragons, right? They come in all different shapes and sizes. They're usually pretty scaly, but they may not always breathe fire and whatnot, and they may offer different lessons in life. We'll go ahead and stop talking about Mr. Diggery-Doo, and we'll go ahead and start talking about another dragon. Alright, this is going to be the only moving image inside the entire stream. This one is all about the Ender Dragon. This one is a very interesting dragon, all right? There's actually really high detailed research into this dragon. Holy cow. This one right here has over 200 HP. That's a very intense dragon. It takes a lot to be able to fully knock it out and get defeated. Overall, it says that it's about 32 meters or 16 blocks high. That doesn't mean a whole lot to us Americans, so we translated it over to 105 feet. That's a pretty big dragon, not gonna lie. So I'm about 4 feet-ish in VR chat. So imagine, let's say 101 Kindles or so. That dragon's about 101 Kindles big. It's quite big. It says IRL. Yeah, there we go. 4'3". So, oh yeah, no. 24 Kindles. I completely did the math wrong. I actually did the math in here. It says 24 Kindles. And the height that Viola's is, I think, are you currently like IRL height at the moment?
No.
No? Let's see how tall he is. He's a little bit taller, so maybe like 23 Viola's is. It is big, my goodness. Now, I think you and I are about the same height in real life. This would be, yeah. So this is Kindle in VR chat, but then this is Viola's and myself in real life. So that would be about 17 Viola's on fires. That's how big the Ender Dragon is. So it's a pretty big Durg. So how would you go about defeating that thing? It's very intense. Well, you have to be able to equip yourself pretty hard, right? The scary thing is that it says it takes out about 6 HP per second, but you only have about 12 HP in general in the environment that you're fighting in, which is a big old blocky world of Minecraft. So that means if you don't have any armor or anything like we are right now, we're just bare. We don't have any like things to protect us. We would be out in 2 hits. We'd be dead through one of their purple fireballs. Which is weird to say, because like I didn't think those were fireballs. They seem to be throwing something else to me, but because like they don't behave like fire would in Minecraft normally, but it's like a very special fire that winds up withstanding your fireproof stuff, your fireproof enchantments. Who would light 17 Violas on fire? What? I think something got lost in translation. And we will kill the Ender Dragon with a few beds. Oh my gosh. So, wait, are you saying that we just gotta go to bed a couple of times in a place that we shouldn't, and then we'll be good? Oh gosh. It's a sleepy guy. Oh my gosh. Well, the beds explode, so yeah. I don't think I think I want other pieces of me like going out to other places. That might be bad. Yeah, so no armor means you're out in 2 hits. I wanted to actually figure out what diamond armor allowed you to do. I do remember that look, when you do have diamond armor, and you're fighting that thing, you actually do get quite a buff. So if you do get hit, you can at least get hit by like 5 or 6 times. So it's not like the end of the world if you have like diamond armor. So what really matters is that you work very hard to get to that edge. The scary thing about this dragon is that if you do die, then you have to be able to somehow get your armor back in that game. And that's the most annoying thing, because you have to somehow get past all the Endermen that are also there, that are also like 3 blocks high. And you have to like not run into them. You have to avoid all the fire that's being done over there and avoid your armor from being like taken up. Holy cow, this thing's really hard to fight. If it's not obvious already. 17 violas is high and 24 kindles high. It is a very, very big dragon. So, I mean, there you go. This, basically, it shouldn't surprise you, though. This is like a Western definition of a dragon. It can fly. It has fire breathing. It is very, very big, but it has only one head. It only has one head. One head with a long neck. That's basically what is going on in my notes. Let's see. No, the joke was Kindle said the dragon was about 17 violas and 5. Oh. Okay, I get it now. That was late. Oh, goodness. I mean, in theory, violas could probably knock it out with fire. Actually, that would be his best technique. If he was able to explode 3 beds, but then he used his own burning violin skills. I don't know. Now I wonder. This is more imaginative. If Viola could use his viola to attack people, what kind of attack would happen as a result of playing his viola? That's what I wonder now. Do you think a viola... Wait. How do I ask a question to violas if viola is in the question? This is weird. Okay. No, wait. I have another name for viola. Burb! In terms of violas, if your viola had the ability to be a weapon of sorts, if you were to play music out of it, what do you think would happen with it? Would it shoot projectiles, or what would it do?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's been a while since I've been play D&D as a bard, but don't they usually use like charm spells or something?
I don't know.
Well, I guess you can send like songs of arrows, I guess so.
That would make sense. You could like shoot it straight out of the viola. Daisuke says you're the best bard.
No, thanks.
Oh goodness. All right. We have exhausted a lot about the Ender Dragon. This is one that I can talk about kind of exhaustively because it is torture. I'm going to give you a random Minecraft story. I was in a single player Minecraft world for a very long time. And then I got really, really close to getting to the Ender Dragon. However, by the time I got there, it was with my friend. He got there and we got up together, but we were actually on a completely different island or plane. So he says, "You didn't bring any dirt, did you?" And I go, "No." So he actually shoots me off the plane because that's all we could do. And they go, "Ah!" So unfortunately, we got the world generated, which is pretty cool, but we couldn't actually fight the dragon. So that was a long battle. I think we managed to fight the dragon though, and we won, which was good. It is scary when you wind up fighting that dragon, but it's actually way easier to fight if you have enough players to actually knock it out. Vicious mockery. Oh my goodness. Charm person, command, discount, whispers, or my favorite, shatter. My goodness. That's interesting when you say command. It sounds like D&D is like really, really elaborate. Every time I hear more and more about it, it's interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and get like a quick water break here. I need to see if my water bottle's filled up too. So 1 second here while I go ahead and do that. All right, there we go. No bones. Oh goodness, no, I probably did not have bones. I probably did a special yoga pretzel move. What was I thinking about before I actually put on the headset? It's weird. Okay, so sometimes I will go into VR chat and people will ask me like what something is, and my mind will go blank. But it's just because I've been VR chatified. My brain goes into a full VR chat mode. I went into that situation just now. I got some water. I was thinking about something to say, and then I put on the headset. I lose it. I was like, what? How did that happen? But my goodness. When it comes to the VR chat, not VR chat, the Minecraft Ender Dragon, it is a hard one to fight. To be able to knock it out, it actually brings out a lot of memories. We've had various different adventures in different Minecraft worlds. I remember for a long time, if you play Minecraft, it's one of those things where like the maps themselves get engraved into your head, even if you haven't played them for years. It is so odd. What was it? I suppose we can move on to the next part of our stream. So let's go ahead. Go beyond the Ender Dragon. Okay. Okay, so let's see if it actually is this. So this part's gonna be interesting if it is. Yes, it is. Okay. We're gonna go into an interesting part. It's another dark and black dragon, all right? So, for the stream, I wound up doing some homework. I wound up learning a lot of stuff for said homework and the ability to understand dragons, right? There's so many stories about them. I went to the library, right, and I read a book. I wound up having to watch a movie this time around to really understand how these dragons operate, right? And there's apparently a whole place out there which has dragons everywhere. And so it's in this beautiful documentary, which is called How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon actually taught me a lot about dragons. It's actually quite interesting because there's ones with several different heads. Some are really fast, and then some get like really, really big. And what helped me was to actually see a lot of the footage in this documentary in order to help figure out a lot of the specifics. This guy right here, he's like a certified trainer. His name is Hiccup. This guy right here worked really hard to get this guy like completely trained up. Up until that point in the documentary, it talks about how these dragons are super aggressive and you have to watch out for them. But this guy right here, he changed the game in his documentary by like actually befriending one of the most intense dragons out in the entire world over there, which is known as a Night Fury. He managed to help out a Night Fury. He even learned how to get one to fly and get one up running in from the ground, which was quite impressive. Let's see, there are a lot of How to Train Your Dragon movies and TV series and games. It's impressive. This whole documentary about this whole beautiful thing known as dragons, it's impressive how far they came. They even created a video game. How about that? That's very cool. In terms of like what this guy is capable of, it goes in the documentary to say that like he manages to like not even hurt any of the dragons that goes through. Like the Vikings themselves, these Vikings, they have to go through a whole procedure as they grow up to be able to fight these guys. What this guy did, he managed to understand how these dragons work, what kind of food they like to eat, and the answer is fish. And like by doing all that and taking good care of them, getting good all scritches and stuff, like they relax. That's all they had to do. It was very interesting. Deep down though, in this particular movie, sorry, not movie, documentary. It's actual evidence of dragons. Okay, well, I gotta stay in character. These dragons here, they had something very interesting that nobody ever saw, It was known as the Hive. This hive here had a very big queen on the inside that is massive. Apparently, it was able to eat so much food, but if it didn't like the food that it got, it would eat a dragon. And all the dragons were terrified of this thing, right? So this whole thing goes into an entire adventure where this guy and that guy winds up fighting that huge dragon. Now, there is some interesting information that is not in the movie necessarily, but comes from external sources. And I will go ahead and show you some MatPat style theorization that happens on the next page that goes all about for how tall is the Night Fury. We'll figure that out. Let's go over here. Okay, so this is a very messy page, but I will go ahead and explain everything that is happening inside of here, all right? I'm gonna look at it with you together. So, bear with me. The question that I had was, how tall is the Queen and the Night Fury? The goal was to say, okay, we don't have full dimensions of like these characters, right? They're all in a fictional world. So we started out with, well, how tall is a average human height, right? So I kind of went in and I was trying to understand like how tall was Hiccup, right? Inside this area, I tried to, let me go here, make sure I have it in the right section. All right. In here, I tried to measure and it says that the average human height is about 5'1". What you see right there is at the end of the movie, Hiccup falls down quite a bit, but you see Toothless, the Night Fury, right there trying to get him in order to save him from like falling down to his death. So what I did something really interesting in Inkscape. I drew the various different ligaments of that of Hiccup right there, and I straightened them up. It's like right there. So once I created that straight line, that allowed me to measure the Night Fury, and on average, that gave me something like 25.4 feet. So that means that the Night Fury is somewhere in the lines of like 30 feet. This is interesting because like the Ender Dragon right there is only like 104, right? So that takes 3 Night Furies to make an Ender Dragon. That brain died there. In terms of the Night Fury itself, it can actually breathe fire, it can be very, very fast, and it can fly and all that. It only has 1 head, but there are some dragons that have multiple heads in this series. The one thing that was interesting is that this is the queen right here. This guy, this gal, wound up actually being very, very big. To figure out how big it was, there wasn't actually any data points on this particular character. So the question was, okay, if Toothless is about 25 to 30 feet, how big would this be? So we measured Toothless by being able to grab the top of this head, right? So the head right there is so, okay, let me align myself correctly so I'm actually pointing the right thing on camera. But this thing right here is its head. You have like kind of like a rhino horn at the top, and then you have the jaw. And you'll see down at the bottom, it has that same dimension and it remains consistent. I was thinking, okay, if we were to measure this properly, what we have to do is make sure that we have one spot that actually is consistent. So if you see down below, it's very hard to see, but Toothless is actually down there, and that is the one shot that we get that's perfectly aligned. So by doing that, we have a consistent ruler, and by saying that it's 3 Toothlesses, or a quarter of it, that's about 61 feet. We then go down to this image right here, and that because that's 61 feet, we then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 11. That makes roughly 732 feet, 671, 732 feet. very, very big dragon if we use that mathematics. I'd be scared too if my mother wanted to eat me if she had a bad day. That is completely fair. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to, like, be in that scenario too. Being eaten up is kind of like a scary scenario. But yes, this character right here is roughly 732 feet or 671 feet. Is what I would told you if I actually got my math right. All right, so here's what happened after that. After I found out, I think it looks like right here I corrected my math. So I actually tried to guess that he was 5'1", but I think inside here what it said. Oh no, this is all correct. This is all correct. I actually redid my math 3 times to figure out what happened because I did the average height of a human being. That was apparently 5'9". I discovered that Hiccup's height is below average. He's young. He's like in his teenager's years, so I guess that makes sense. I guessed he was 5'9", but he's actually 5'1", so I corrected it there. I think somewhere in here, I think I tried to guess this was over 1,000 feet. And I had comparisons and stuff. It was like, even with this alone, let me think. 700 times 2 is 1,400, right? So if we do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you had 5 of these queen dragons, that would be something like a mile, right? So that's a pretty big dragon, I guess, just for perspective. And apparently the proper name for it is the Red Death. It talked about being 1/7 of a mile. That's how big it is. Also the wingspan. Here's a wingspan for the Night Fury. It says it's about 45 feet in wingspans. That's pretty big. In terms of like actual wing size, I guess that makes sense because of how big that thing actually is. It's being able to carry all that weight with it. But yes, we have so far very interesting dragons. And yes, this one also flies. So you see how this one is like going downward? Yes, the wings somehow managed to make this big 732 feet beast fly. I don't get it myself. It's really, really big. That is how to train your dragon, and that is the 2 different dragons, right? I was thinking for a minute, because I haven't seen the movie in years, how big Toothless was. I was like, that seems like the biggest dragon, right? Nope. Actually, there is a climax at the end of the movie, which I spoiled, but honestly, let's be real, it's been like years since like this movie came out. It's like 2010. So I think we're good. I think we're okay. Moving right along. Let us see here. Let's see where the slides take us. Okay, I think we are moving on to Greek mythology. So we're going off of the movie stuff. It seemed like overall my notes were kind of unorganized when it came to the different types of dragons that went through overall. Because we were going to talk about Japanese dragons, and then we're going to go to Greek mythology. Like the order of study was that. But for some reason I watched the movie and then I shoehorned that in there. So that's what happened, basically. No! I spoiled it, daggone it! I spoiled a 16-year-old movie, daggone it. Makes me feel old, actually, because I think when that came out, I was like 12, if that's the case, 16-year-old. Holy cow. Times have changed. Instantly ages. Yeah. Horned in there, I get it. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. Okay, Greek mythology. So we actually had two different dragons here that get described. I believe the one that's pictured here is the one called Layden. So we'll go ahead and start talking about this one. If I remember correctly, it's actually a very interesting kind of dragon. If it's the one that I'm thinking of, let me double check. Is it? I don't think. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. So this is an interesting dragon. Its name is Layden, but its whole purpose in life was to protect something called the Golden Apples. It was actually slain by, who do we got here? I don't know if I actually have the guy who's, Heracles. For some reason, there was two different types of names here. I was confused on Wikipedia when I was reading it because there was Heracles and Hercules. I don't know if they are the same person or not, but Heracles is one of these guys who's actually slain this dragon. This dragon in particular, it doesn't depict it here, but it has over 100 heads. It was a very dangerous dragon. In some versions of the story, it was slain, and some it was not. But it was a special scenario when he was trying to protect the tree of golden apples. I was actually trying to use it to figure out its height, apparently. I'm glad I have this homework here, because I don't remember doing the homework. It's been a good minute. Okay, so I used the average height of a human male again, which is 5'9". So if Hercules is like 5'9", then some of the trees that are depicted inside of these are about like 10 to 15 feet. Let me double check here. This doesn't have trees in here, so I want to see if this is like the right one. We might be having some of these pictures mixed up. Oh shoot. Okay, so we have a couple of spoilers here as well. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. No, you didn't see it. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. We'll talk about Heracles. And so, my gosh. It was a very interesting one, roughly 10 to 15 feet. So what have we learned so far, right? We have dragons that can range between 4 feet, which is Mr. Diggery-Doo the dragon. Then you have the Ender Dragon, which is about 104 feet. Then you have the Queen, which ranges to like 732 feet, right? So like, honestly, I'll be real. Like, that seems like a very big jump. On average, it seems like most dragons can range between 4 to 30 feet. Minus Diggery-Doo, 15 to 30. We seem to be hitting an average with that. There's a chance that this dragon was roughly around that size or greater. If they were coiled around the tree, it might be 20 to 30 feet. Yeah, I get that for sure. And then the garden that they were actually in is Hesperides, which is the name of that. It's part of Greek mythology. It's a very interesting little story. It's very short. But there you go. That is one of the dragons. I don't know which dragon this one is supposed to be. If that one's supposed to be Layden, I don't remember. Let's see. Kindle making me a tree. Oh my gosh. You know this color? No, you saw nothing. You saw nothing. You saw nothing. I promise. I promise. Maybe. Anyway, let's move on. We have another one, which is named Python. This one's another Greek mythology one. A two-tailed dragon, apparently the son of Gaia, personification of the earth. Okay, interesting. Slain by Apollo, 4 days old, because Python was going to destroy Leto. Oh yeah, this is like really weird stuff. Okay, so we're on the right track. I don't know how in the world I didn't get pictures. Oh, you know what? I think I remember. So I think I wanted to have pictures of the other one with the trees themselves. Although the problem was like, it would be against Twitch's terms of service, which I don't like saying that, but it's also on Wikipedia. Like, these were Wikipedia pictures. These things were not appropriate for putting on the screen, and it was not good. But I tried to find pictures that did not have that, so then I could actually measure things correctly. It was annoying. Yes, so that was a thing. That was a thing. Yeah, Viola's, he's down there, so he might have had to go do something. I don't know what happened there. That stick drift be brutal, oh my goodness. Yeah, he might be right back. But anyway, yes, no, it was not a safe for work image. I was trying my best to try to find pictures that like could actually be shown on here, and like let's just say it was very hard. So that's probably why I was confused, because I was trying to find one with a tree, and they did have some where they had snakes coil around it, but they were just not appropriate to show on the stream, and I really did not like that. Okay, anyway, I will stop emphasizing that. But yes, there were some other dragons out there that were based off of Greek mythology. They had very strange stories. This one in particular, it says that it was a dragon that was a 4-day-old dragon. Like, that's crazy to me that something that big was 4 days old. And it was specifically designed to destroy another god. These gods almost remind me of like the Japanese mythology, kami, right? So in other words, these were ones that were mortal, but they had very high capabilities. So in this case, this dragon was trying to destroy one of those guys. It was only 4 days old, and apparently one of the gods were going to have children. And so they were going to prevent them from having children, which is really diabolical. And these are very strange stories that get all out of hand, which is ridiculous. That is an example, though. In terms of anatomy right here, you see that they have 2 tails, they have wings. Did they ever fly? I don't know, maybe. It could probably breathe fire. Though it was very, very interesting species indeed. Could you put a sensor bar? I probably could have. That probably would have been a valid move to take. Most likely. So another thing too, which I don't want to push, there is also something on Twitch known as artistic nudity, which that's not even something I want to even put on here, because this show is a PG show for the most part. It's technically like PG-13, because for the most part we still talk about some violent stuff here, but then we also have folks that might have a sailor mouth or whatnot. Violas doesn't really have a sailor mouth, I'll be real. He does curse a couple of times, but that's not really too much of a concern. But yeah, it would have to probably be censored. If anything, it would be severely censored. We would have to make sure that it would be completely blocked out. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, we want to be careful. It is what it is. Okay, so this part is gonna be a little bit weird. I don't know where the notes are gonna take me in this one, because I actually did some additional homework before the stream got started. It was around 2 o'clock today, and I wound up actually researching about similar animals that are like dragons themselves in the real life. Now, I don't think we're gonna take that path, because actually I did do some additional homework on a different thing, which Daisuke may or may not have seen. We're gonna go ahead and hit the next piece. Yes, I lied. You saw something. You saw something. It was none other than a beautiful show that we watched when we were very young. It is Dragon Tales. Dragon Tales was a beautiful show that we wound up watching quite often as a kid. It stars all these different characters. We got Max, Amy, Enrique. We have ourselves Cassie, Zach, Wheezy, and Ord. Can you tell that I watched this when I was very little, and I remember like all that? Now, I also had the wiki to look at Enrique because I didn't remember his name, but like, what the heck? Apparently that had an impact on me when I was little, I guess. Yes! We have Dragon Tales. We're gonna document all these dragons too. And I think, Violas, did you watch Dragon Tales too when you were young?
I did.
Oh my goodness. Holy cow. It's like a throwback. You can see like the resolution of this image too is like really grainy, but I promise it looked good on the TVs that we watched it on. Holy cow. So this is like a 4:3 aspect ratio, right? This thing was like designed for like the small tube TVs that we used to have. We had two brands of televisions back in the day that were in our house. We had a Zenith, which was a very small TV that we could actually plug into our car and we could watch VHS tapes in there on car trips. And then we had the big old TV, which was the JVC. The JVC was very big. It wasn't very big. It was about medium size, about the regular size of a television. You would turn it on, and then it would go, like you could hear it. And then there was like a high-pitched sound that would always play, and you could absolutely hear those televisions. Apparently, that might be a memory specifically because, like, I'm pretty sure mostly everybody in this audience is like old enough to remember the high-pitched sounds in these TVs. Apparently, if you get older, you don't hear it anymore. So we've got ourselves some pretty exclusive memories that you can't really replicate anywhere else now these days. Oh my goodness. Yes, tell me about these dragons and their short stories. Oh my goodness. Cassie's your favorite? Oh my goodness. She's a very sweet one. My goodness. I remember a lot of different stories, and I don't remember them like all specifically, but they met different characters, right? They came across giants. Max actually became like really big at one point. That was one of the episodes that I remember. We had various different adventures of them just flying around many different areas of the world. I remember their personalities too. Like Org, he always had lots of food to eat. So in terms of like diet, so if we were to be canonical with it, How to Train Your Dragon really only had dragons that ate fish or ate everything. He had bread, he had cookies. In the wiki, it reminded me of something called dragon corn. So he would throw some corn up in the air and he would breathe fire, and that would be his snack. So that was something that he shared with his friends, and they enjoyed that. Zack and Wheezy, they're very instrumental dragons. So you don't see it on their necks right now because it's covered by Emmy and Cassie, but they have like musical notes right there on their necks. Cassie, I don't know exactly what that kind of symbol represents on their necklace. I'm pretty sure what they represented had special symbols and what they meant. I think there was also another dragon, which we'll show as well. His name is Quetzal. He was like the teacher of all these different dragons, and they went to school and whatnot. So it was a very interesting little ecosystem they had running there. Popcorn, yes. Our dog liked popcorn. That was one of her favorite foods. It was pretty fun because like we would take her down and we'd go watch a movie downstairs. We had a popcorn machine. It would go, and she would get pretty excited. But yes, quite a bit of adventures, and I'm gonna ruin something, okay? Because their ages are actually something that is first of all crucial for this next piece of information, but it may also make you feel old. So I apologize in advance. Gomenasai. So Max, he is canonically 4 years old. Which, I mean, when I was little, I was about 3 or 4 years old, so it's about a kid my age back in the day. Max is most likely 28 now, and he's probably doing some kind of engineering job or whatever he wants to do now. Emmy is about 6 years old, so she's a pretty young individual right there. And then Enrique, this was an interesting one, because I was actually on the Dragon Tales fandom page today. They actually don't have a good concrete age for him. It was funny because I was looking at his page. It said, oh, he could be around 6 years old. And then on his dedicated page, it said, oh, he could be 8 years old. So they don't have good information on Enrique. So in terms of like the trust level of this website, I would take this fully as a grain of salt. There's probably information on how they got this, but 4, 6 to 8. So it's weird. It's weird. So, okay. We did some additional math though, because in order to figure out how big these characters are, I was genuinely curious. Because, like, okay, that little 4-year-old right there, he looks like a tot. He's small. So, like, how in the world, like, how tall is he, right? I went to go look up today the average height of a 4-year-old. So what we found was, let's go down here to Dragon Tales. The average height of a 4-year-old is somewhere between 3 to 3.5 feet. More specifically, 37 to 42 inches. So that's a small 4-year-old. But we're gonna go ahead and run across some theorist-based work here into the next page. This is professional grade stuff, I promise. We go over to this page and we try to measure all the characters. They're actually all in line in this one picture, and they're all going zh. Oh, wait, I'm covering it. So over here, we have the measurement of 2 maxes. This is professional grade theorist work. Yo! So basically we have Max right there. He's about 3.5 inches. We go to the top of that green line there. That means Ord is about 6 to 7 feet. No pun intended, because, oh gosh. Ah! 6 to 7. 6 to... The meme comes when you don't even expect it to happen. Okay, anyway.
Right.
Oh gosh. Yes, 6 to 7 feet. Zach and Wheezy, both 6 to 7 feet. We have Cassie there. Cassie is actually roughly the same height as Emmy, and that's like, well, Cassie's technically like 1.5 maxes. You'll see there. So that means she's about 4.5 feet. So canonically speaking, these are actually decently sized dragons, but it also says something else, right? Because they're young dragons. I don't know if they're like the same age as these, as Max and Emmy, but it does say something, right? Because like in real life, I'm 6 feet. So if I'm the size of 2 Maxes, then I'm about the same height as Zord. So that's a weird thing to put into perspective. You're about the same height as that guy, but here's where it gets weird, all right? I'm gonna show you the next picture. Next picture shows their teacher named Quetzal. Yes, right here. In an episode that I remember from a long time ago. This is when Max actually came way bigger than 3.5 feet. This is when he was, yes, big. He was, yes, feet. He was very big. One day Max got big and he said, I wanted to be very big someday. And then he got too big. And so he was very sad. The point, though, is that we have a height for Quetzal. I was doing a beautiful technique known as eyeballing. And by eyeballing, I took a look at Quetzal, and I grabbed Ord. Ord is 6 feet. I moved Ord 1 notch up. He's about 12 feet. I got that wrong, actually, because apparently inside the Dragon Tales fandom, they actually had an official canonical height for Quetzal. Quetzal is about 16 feet total. So that was interesting. Despite Ord and Quetzal looking like they're in the same spot there, they actually are different heights than what is initially perceived. So in theory, maybe Ord right there is like maybe behind Quetzal in that picture. It almost looks like he is. It kind of seems like he is from that perspective because you can see his wing kind of like go out that way. Zach and Wheezy are behind Quetzal there. So, I mean, that makes sense. But you can see that is a big dragon. I was going to use that as the height base, but when it said that it had 16 feet, that was what I used. What a monkey's paw in a kid's show. I want to be a big kid. Gets large. Yup. That's essentially what happened. He wanted to be big, and then he got too big. So that was the whole plot of that one. And they had various different plots just like that, where the kids just did all sorts of things. It was a good show though. Like, I remember they did fun things like things simple like riding a bicycle. That was pretty fun. It was a really silly one because like it stuck in my head. It was Emmy and Max. They were riding their bicycle, and then Emmy goes, "I can like do curves and stuff," and then Max goes, "And I can go straight." And then she goes, "I can do loop-de-loops," and then Max goes, "I can go straight." It was like Dragon Tales' version of "I Got a Rock" from Charlie Brown. It was basically what that was. But then Max was enthusiastic about it because he's 4 years old. It was a moment. Yeah, so that was Dragon Tales. I lied. There actually was something that Daisuke saw, and we got into detail. So that was a little bit of the homework that I went into today, just to kind of figure out, well, what's the height of all these guys? What's their diet? These are probably the most human-like dragons you'll probably come across. No surprise, because they're literally anthropomorphic dragons. They have the ability to eat all sorts of food, more kinds of food than what we got sometimes. They have dragon corn and whatnot. They can breathe fire, they can fly, well, they're literally flying right there, so that's your evidence. Young dragons, they can be 6 feet. If you're the size of Quetzal, then you can go up to 16 feet. So it is kind of scary if you want to come across those, but they're also more like relatable. So they're probably not going to hurt you or anything, most likely. They're just going to be nice. Okay, so let's see what the next slide is. This is kind of like a surprise game for me because I kind of just shoehorned a lot of slides in here, but I do have notes, so we're just going to be jumping around. Okay, so I actually stuck this one in because I was actually trying to do research on it to figure out if this was a dragon in the first place. This character is Bowser. Bowser, actually, just short answer, he's not a dragon. But I did a lot of research on it anyway, so I might as well just share. This is one character that I'm sure a lot of people are most definitely familiar with. And we have several different details on Bowser himself. Actually, the interesting piece with him is that he's based off of a soft shell turtle. So in other words, these little guys are actually like really nice. Like, they're not dangerous at all. They don't really have spikes or anything on their shell, but like it is indeed like one of the turtles, right? So let's see what else. Considering he's more of a turtle than King of the Koopas, it's hard to say he's a dragon, but he definitely feels like one of them in many aspects. I'm surprised that I don't have the notes in here, but I'll try to regurgitate from memory. Back in the day, it was Shigeru Miyamoto who tried to originally draw Bowser. The original design that he had, it was actually blue. Like, a lot of these Japanese arts for the early NES games were very different than how we would perceive the characters now. So it was funny because in the Super Mario Brothers artwork, Bowser almost like was perceived to be like a hippopotamus from some other people who were artists. So like it was something that was last minute drawn by Shigeru Miyamoto, and he was like really confused, like what should this guy look like based off of the sprites that we did for the game. And so it was kind of backwards, right? He made the design for the game first, and then he actually drew Bowser last minute. The artist that took heed of it was trying to really understand what Bowser was supposed to be to begin with. So they settled on a soft shell turtle, and they wanted to get away from the hippopotamus-styled kind of thing. So at the end of the day, they got an interesting style, and Shigeru Miyamoto got excited because it looked really good. Eventually, he actually learned to draw Bowser himself because he drew a lot of the other characters. He drew Toad, he drew Princess Peach, he drew Mario, of course. And then he basically had a quote in the Super Mario Wiki, and it said, like, I got excited because now I can finally draw Bowser. It was an interesting experience for him. So it's weird because Bowser is a very interesting character, right? His development is a little bit backwards compared to the other characters. He was designed first in the game, and then he wound up having a more intricate design later down the road. Overall, though, he's not a dragon. He's more of a soft-shell turtle. Yet despite that, he has other abilities that are like dragons, right? So he can breathe fire. That's one thing that you don't really see from turtles. But some cases he actually can fly-ish, depending on like what game you have. There was one odd scene in Super Mario 3D Land where he just started to like walk-ish and slash fly, and he had smoke coming out from behind him, which is odd. So I don't understand the logic behind that. He was probably using some kind of magic to fly, so that doesn't really count all that much. But he does have himself the airships that he has accumulated over the times for his troops. What I want to know is, where did they get the dragon scale? Oh, man, I forgot about that. That was interesting. Yeah! My gosh, you're like pulling out a memory in my head.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wasn't it that they pulled...
I think there was like...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this one dragon, I guess, like, used magic on these scales so that way people could come to Dragonland. And then she scattered them across the world, I guess, and somehow they found it. I don't know.
I think you're right.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's right. Because in the first episode that they had in Dragon Tales, they did a very Starbright kind of wish on the dragon scale. They said, oh, I had it in my head. I think, oh my gosh. It's so weird to think that like it was still in my head somewhere. But it was very much like a wish upon a star kind of wish. But they go in there and then they magically get transferred over. My gosh, I can't believe I forgot such a big plot point to that. Gee. That might be like in a pilot episode. That might be worth watching at some point.
I wish, yeah, I think it's on the first episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. And I think it's like, I wish with all my heart to the land of dragons something apart.
Yeah. Oh, of a land apart. Yes.
The land apart.
Yes.
To fly with dragons in a land apart.
In a land apart. Yeah. Could not remember that. I'm glad Viola said something because I think I forgot about it until he said something. But I remember because they even had like a drawing style of it. Like it was a female dragon. They had like a whole bunch of dragon scales that they distributed, and they showed that there were a whole bunch of kids that hung around. I don't know if that dragon still existed. It seemed like it was a dragon that passed, but it was one of the remaining dragon scales that existed on the other side of the world, and so Max and Emmy found it. And that was interesting because I think the plot in the pilot was that they moved to a new house and they didn't really like the new house. And so now if they had this dragon scale, they could meet a whole bunch of new friends, and that made the whole thing worth it. So it was interesting. My gosh, that is some memories right there. I need to watch Dragon Tales again. Okay. We talked about Dragon Tales. We talked about Bowser. What is our next topic? Let's find out. Okay. So this one right here is all about the Chronicles of Narnia. This is from a book called Voyage of the Dawn Treader. This is something that normally I would not go over, but I actually wanted to figure this one out, right? So I grabbed my sister one day. She is a certified chatter. She's very good at chatting. She knows how to talk very elaborately, but she knows all about Narnia books. She watched. She has read every single one. I have watched all 3 movies, but so long ago that I barely remember anything at this point. She remembers everything from like the discrete details of all of this. So I was trying to ask her, okay, wasn't there that one part of Narnia where this guy turned into a dragon? And she said, yes, there was. So we'll go ahead and talk about him. His name is Eustace. He was actually an interesting character in the Narnia series. He was actually a bully. He made it very frustrating to actually make progress in the story itself. But as it goes for Eustace, he wound up discovering a dead dragon, of all things. So he was like absolutely terrified. He was on his own, he was doing his own thing, and discovered a dead dragon. But nearby, there was actually a dragon's cave. He goes into that cave, and he gets really excited. This dragon had a whole bunch of riches. Like, he was basically just ready to go. Like, his life was complete. He, like, tried to put some things on. He even put, like, this nice crown on his wrist and everything. And then, before he knew it, he fell asleep. That was interesting, right? So, what happened after his nap? He woke up, right? He felt good. And then he realized he has scales now. His hand is now the forefront of his foot. And now he's trying to move. He's going, ah! Turns out he actually turned into a dragon. So, whoops. He is now a dragon. He's a very big one. And at least in the movie, I recall him being like a yellow gold dragon. He's very large. He actually, before all this, bullied a mouse. His name is Rikichi, if I remember correctly. Let me look at the notes. He have a treasure. He fell asleep. He woke up. Where did I find now? Let's see. Oh, Reapy Cheap, not Ricky Cheap. But yes, Reapy Cheap is like a very small mouse, but he was a very skilled battler, right? He has like a very small sword. He can actually fight down enemies like anybody else could. So he's very pretty good battler. But he was one of those people that actually gave Eustace some comfort during these moments, because Eustace couldn't talk as a dragon. He couldn't make roars and whatnot, but he was just sort of stuck, right? He could be ferocious, he could do some things, but overall, he was just like not able to communicate. He was distressed, he didn't know what to do. So Reapy Cheap wound up being kind of like a counselor and being able to coach him in these situations, even though he was like yay tiny, very, very small. And actually, here's a spot right here. This is the human, but the dragon himself is right here. Almost forgot to swap it over, but the dragon's actually pretty big. So imagine this big fella and there's a very tiny mouse. We don't really have like an idea on how big the dragon is, and this is a depiction from the book itself. So it's a very, very big dragon. He's powerful and whatnot, but he just didn't know what to do. So Reapy Cheap wound up being that counselor that talked about all sorts of different stories, about the various different adventures he had, and it was very deep, and it comforted him in a state of fear. And it's important to be able to have somebody like that, right? If you're in a big state of change and you don't know where to go, that's a big deal, to be able to make sure that there's some kind of kernel of comfort, and that small mouse wound up really helping him out. Very the lion and the mouse coded. I get that, yes. Oh, for sure. As the story goes on, as far as I'm concerned, they wind up having good victories near the end of the day, but then, like, he doesn't know how to become, like, a human again, right? Because eventually, like, these characters came from the human world and they wound up going into Narnia. How in the world is he going to be able to get back? Well, Aslan wound up helping them out. Aslan is like one of the main characters. He's like a lion in the series of Narnia. For Christians, people say that he very much is representation of Jesus. So it's kind of those things where it's kind of like a coded kind of story. But Aslan wound up helping out Eustace by slowly trying to help him go into like a special fountain. The fountain itself had healing properties inside of it, but he scratched off like a whole 3 layers of scales from the dragon. It was apparently very, very painful to get off all those scales, But eventually, the dragon fell through, and once he came into the pond and everything, he came back out a human being. So it was good. He was able to actually recover and go back to normal. Let's see here. And then at the very end of my notes, it says here that I give my big sister a big credit. To be frank, one of the difficult things about this is that my sister doesn't have a username online. So I asked her, can I call you a username? And she goes, no, just call me Big Sister. So, Big Sister, thank you. We'll give her the credit for that, for helping me out with the storybook here. It was very, very useful to understand, like, where the heck this all came from. This came from her own knowledge, and she's able to recite this stuff from memory. Like, she's legitimately, like, very good with memory. On the opposite side, I'm, like, don't have very good long-term memory. So for her, she's actually remembered things really, really well. It's impressive. Okay. Let's see here. We should have some other slides. I'm pretty sure we've burned through. Oh, we have 4 more slides. Let's see where this takes us. Okay. So we have a very interesting species of dragon to be able to talk about here. This one is one that you might recognize. It is known as a Nordé. In other words, it is known as a bird dragon. This one right here is a fascinating one. Based off of the studies that I've seen, it's a fascinating species because I kind of got to know them firsthand, per se, you could say. On average, their height is about 4.5 feet. At times, they actually have a tendency to really dive deep into music. They have a fascination with instruments and whatnot, and they come in all sorts of different colors too. I wound up finding all sorts of different screenshots of this species as well, and I found some very good images of them as well. It was quite impressive. Let me see here. No, frankly, I found some pictures in the wild of these actual Nordés Daisuke. It's nobody in particular. Nobody in particular. Let us see here. Let me go over here. I actually have this stuff. Yeah, they're about 4.6 feet. In some cases, they can go as large as 6 feet. And in many cases, they might be cannibals. That one's also a very kind of weird situation, right? So sometimes they might actually eat their own species, and that is genuinely kind of terrifying. I heard at one point that this species wound up eating it in such a way they called it KFC. That was kind of strange. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Yeah, and they don't really breathe fire either. When it comes down to it, they don't really breathe a lot of fire, but they do fly. I've seen Nordé bird dragons fly around quite a bit here in VR chat overall. They're a very interesting species. Yeah, they're a pretty interesting species.
Oh wow.
I was gonna see how long it took to see that. Oh my goodness.
It's free in the email.
Yes, there's a lot of pictures that we've taken of Nordé bird dragons over the years. We have like a base up there that very much is a not one you'd see very often. Most of the ones that I've seen, they're very much purple. They have rainbow wings, and they play a lot of music. Typically, that's what I've seen overall. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, they're a very interesting species. They're about halfway bird, halfway dragon. Actually, what's funny is that I was trying my best not to ask Violas if I could get a avatar picture. I tried, well, not avatar picture, like a link to the avatar. I was trying to figure out if like he ever linked it at one point. I was like, oh yeah, he did. So I went to VR Chat, Pixin Vids, and Axel server, and I grabbed it. I grabbed the link so I could get more specs. Oh goodness. But yes, Bird Dragon. Not impressed. But he also enjoyed a good game of Gygus at one point. It was fun. Okay. But yes, we have good Bird Dragon here. He's amazing. Okay, so this next one right here is all about various different types of lizards. So we have 2 different types of lizards here. Like overall, we'll talk about 2. We have the Komodo dragon, and I discovered something new. I didn't know about this. Oh gosh, that was my fan. Let me step a little closer here. This one is called a, what is it called? Give me a second. It's so weird. They're called legless lizards. It's very strange. So you see that, right? It looks like a snake. It actually is not a snake. I did not know about this. It was a very strange divergence that I went down to. A skink? Skink? That's an interesting name for it. In a nutshell, these are actually lizards. Even though they don't look like it, they're lizards. The way that Wikipedia says that you can distinguish them, they have 2 functioning lungs. They have eyelids, so that's something I didn't realize that snakes actually didn't have. Snakes don't have eyelids. So if you see one blink, that is actually a legless lizard. Lizards themselves, even though they're called legless lizards, sometimes they do have legs, but they're so small or they don't even function correctly. So that is a very weird aspect of them. That is just a very weird divergence that I went off of. I wanted to share that because, like, oh my gosh, it is so odd. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next part, unless I missed something here. Oh yeah, they don't have a forked tongue. So if you see that they just have like a regular tongue, that is what they look like. Let's move on to the next picture. I do believe it's just about a regular lizard this time. Oh, no, that's a lie. Well, we'll still talk about this one because it's still related. This one right here is the Komodo dragon. And by the way, we're hitting the very edge of our stream, by the way. As I warned previously, this is something that I was considering might be potentially short. I think we're about to hit right on the dot. But we do have a conclusion to make, but we'll talk about Komodo dragons first, talk about lizards, and we'll wrap things up. I think we got this. Okay, so Komodo dragons and lizards in general, they're very interesting. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, like, we have stories of dragons. We have Leviathan in the Bible. We have not seen Leviathan in real life, obviously, because at this point we've had a lot of dinosaurs and whatnot that have gone extinct. So, I mean, do we have representations of dragons in real life? I mean, we have this fella right here. He may not necessarily be a dragon in the sense that we think about it, right? But he's still a very big lizard, reptilious kind of individual. It is something that we would call, at least in the past, cold-blooded. So in other words, it has a different type of temperature regulation than we do as mammals. So as me as a cat, I don't have cold-bloodedness. I have the ability to regulate my own temperature. This guy, he cannot. So if he is eating things, for example, apparently from what I've learned, he is both a scavenger and a hunter. If he eats his prey, he'll swallow it whole, or he'll wind up just eating whatever is around. This guy right here, he'll eat it whole, but then in order to digest, apparently what's important is that he has to be in the sun, right? So he uses that to regulate his body temperature, and then that allows things to decompose, which is frankly kind of gross, but that's just how it works for him. Let's see. Yeah, but tiny legs. No Spyro the Dragon. No, unfortunately I forgot about Spyro the Dragon. That's on my end, bud. I apologize. In fact, that's something that I really wish I kind of got into when I was young. I feel like Violas might know more about Spyro the Dragon than I do. It looks like a very interesting series.
Yeah, so I think I started playing Spyro with the GameCube one, the Year of the Dragon, where they had Elijah Wood voice him. You know, the Hobbit guy.
Oh,
Hobbit guy.
That's cool.
And then I think David Spade was like the Sparks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I think he got a real big boom back during Skylanders. That's where I got a big relevance.
I remember Skylanders when it first came out. You know, of all things, I remember my first exposure to what Skylanders was. We actually saw a movie theater trailer for it. It was over in our Regal theaters, which is crazy. But that thing really boomed. I knew somebody at PE who didn't really feel like Spyro got his respect in Skylanders, but then I know people who are in the literal opposite, and they love Skylanders half to death. That was a series that wound up being very big for that series overall. Wait, did you wind up ever playing Skylanders, Violas?
Not really, but I had a cousin that did, and I played a little bit of that.
Okay. Poor Spyro is such a long trilogy, only to be shoved into Skylanders and redesigned. Yeah, sounds like you kind of pull that mentality, but at the same time, I completely understand though, because if you played the original series, then it probably feels like a betrayal of sorts, which I would get. I think the good thing though about it is that if I ever do want to give Spyro a try, they do have Spyro remakes and remasters on Steam, if I remember correctly, so it should be possible to actually give that a shot. Funny thing, I know that I don't even have notes on Spyro, and I'm somehow talking about him, but I know about some anti-piracy stuff that they did with it. So I do recall, if you managed to get a pirated copy of the original Spyro, you could try to play a little bit of it, but then it would try to stop you. But there were some people who managed to glitch through it. But if you wind up dying, then you lose a lot of progress overall. So it wound up being a anti-piracy practice for that particular game if you tried to pirate the game. It was interesting. You never really think about anti-piracy measures because so many people try to play the game normally. But then there's a whole bunch of people who actually do try to steal the game, and then it makes it more difficult for them to try to actually realize, oh, is this a pirated version? Is this a non-cracked or whatever? So there's challenge to that. So it's always interesting to hear about anti-piracy measures. I was a hater. I wouldn't lie. I get it. My goodness. Reignited, but that's the first 3. Yes. So were there other versions of Spyro that were available beyond that? Because I feel like I'm answering my own question though, because they had a Game Boy Advance game at minimum. I remember that. There was also a McDonald's Happy Meal toy that I had. I don't think that really counts though as one of the games. Let's see here. Komodo dragon, while we're at it. This is an interesting kind of animal. They are an endangered species overall. They don't have wings, and no, they cannot breathe fire, but they're a very interesting species nonetheless. I learned that because they have the ability to hunt, they can go up to 12 miles per hour. So faster than you is what I put in my notes. In other words, on the treadmill, you can go up to 10 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. I'm sure if you've done a lot of good exercise, you can probably go faster than 10. for sure. I can guarantee that you have. But Komodo dragons, they're very fast. So when they wind up running like that, they have the ability to, like, oh, it's so weird. I was looking on Wikipedia. The way that they move, they have their foot out this way and then their back foot this way. And then they do it this way and they move their foot this way. And they go, chi, 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 chi. It is so weird. What happened? Oh no, I'm facing in the opposite direction this way. Well, these things are beasts. Like, they're really, really big. Oh yeah. They are definitely really scary. They're cool though. Their maximum weight, I have here 200 to 300 pounds, but in Wikipedia what it said was that it was because they had like a full big meal before they got to 300 pounds. So my mind is kind of a skeptic when it says something like that, right? So it's like 300 pounds, but then after a meal, and then it's just right there. But like, is it really 300 pounds if they just gulp the big thing? Wouldn't that be like the big thing that they ate? Or like, I don't know. That's kind of a weird way to measure that being a big record. I think their average height, without looking at my notes, is something like 7.5 feet, and the biggest one recorded is something like 10 feet. I think it's what that was. Nope, average height 8.5. I didn't put in 10 feet because that was like, it was 10 feet, it ate 300 pounds, well, it was 300 pounds after a meal, and it was like this big thing, so it's like, oh gosh. Holy cow. I put in my notes, it can't fly, it can't breathe fire. And also, okay, so this is pretty interesting. I found out that a lot of amphibians and reptiles actually have this feature. I did not know about this until today. They actually have a third eye, in a way. Not like the eye that you would normally see. It depends on what animal it is. But some amphibians and reptiles have like an eye right here. And it is like a photosensitive kind of eye, right? So in a nutshell, if they can kind of tell if it's daytime or something like that, if they are just on the ground running, right? So if you try to pick something up like that and they move around, that's probably why they're reacting, is because they have an eye up here to some degree. Whether it's something they can see in its full, or if they have just more like light sensitivity, that's kind of the sensor that is on top of them, which is really interesting. I did not know that a lot of animals had that. In this case, the Komodo dragon actually does have something like that. So if you tried to like get to it from behind or whatever, it could probably snap back at you because it knows that there's something there. Iguanas do? Oh, that's cool. I did not know that. That is wild. So for the most part, that's pretty much what it was about the Komodo dragon. We passed through the lizard thing, but we'll go ahead and talk about some lizard facts. For the most part, I was learning about the difference between warm-blooded and cold-blooded near the very end of this stream here. Excuse me. Oh, I got a funny story too. So this is something that may have been partially covered in Axel server, but I got secondhand knowledge from this because my aunt lives in Florida. So what happened recently is, because these things are cold-blooded, but lizards in general over in Florida have started to become pests. Like, they're really, really annoying to deal with. So what happened is that in the cold, these lizards have become so incredibly rampant that they are everywhere. Like, not even joking. Like, it's so hard to move someplace and you don't see a lizard. It's crazy. But it was also really cold. So what do you get when you have a cold-blooded lizard and it's cold, right? So their metabolism just kind of grinds to a halt and they're just stationary. They're stuck. Apparently what I heard is that the laws in Florida were specifically changed so they can actually fix this situation that's going on. Normally this would require some authorized personnel. Yo, speaking of which, there's a Floridian right there. How's it going, Jimmy? It's good to see you. Or locomotive lizard. They fall from trees. Can confirm. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Good grief. And then we have a spammer here, so we'll go ahead and delete that. Good grief. 1 minute. Do. Let's go down. Dude, you're like the second person that said the exact same thing. Goodbye. All right. All right, let's see. Free food, yeah. you could do something like that, holy cow. Never seen the kind of Zoid before, mostly just the Ligers. No, it was crazy though. Like, I'm glad that Jimmy's here. We could probably ask him some first-hand questions about this. But the way that my aunt described it is that there's so many of these guys. And they showed, I got shown a video of like this one guy literally truck full of these lizards in the back of his like pickup truck, his F-150 or whatever. And so it's like piles and piles and piles. So you go, do. I wish I had a picture of it. It's insane. But they're all wrapped up and it's all really cold. There was apparently a prank at one point where somebody said, hey, you should have a whole bunch of these lizards and store them in your car and then turn up the heat. Well, what happens if you do something like that? Well, then all the lizards are gonna come back to life and they go. It is ridiculous. Let's see. You can also turn them in for grocery. What? I didn't know this. What the heck? Your aunt sounds like Florida, not gonna lie. That's where the iguanas are. Holy cow. Okay, I kind of want to ask you a question, Jimmy, because this is something that I really wonder. Have you managed to grab a lizard in the weather conditions that they were in? Like, I'm genuinely curious if you did that and what that was like. Yes, they were falling from trees from what I heard. It seems crazy. Oh, sounds South Florida? Oh, I see. You have grabbed a gecko. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I would have not heard of anything like that, but the fact that the laws had to be like completely redone, like normally it'd be authorized personnel. No, literally everybody had to go in and take the lizards and then somehow manage to deal with them, which is crazy. Oh my gosh. Central Florida gets the small lizards. Oh, okay. I see. No, but yeah, cold-bloodedness. Did I say bloodiness? Jeez. Cold-bloodedness. That's definitely the cause and effect if you have that, right? So your metabolism slows down quite a bit. I mean, it makes somewhat sense, right? Because mammals will typically eat a whole bunch and then they'll hibernate. These things just sort of freeze and they don't do a whole lot and then they come back to life. They're still falling. Nonetheless, good grief. What the heck, man? It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like an alien invasion story, but it's so silly. That's insane. But yes, what else? They fall on people for sure, though. Yeah, that's scary. I don't think I want that to happen. What in the world? Cold-bloodedness, they intentionally hang out in hot places to gather heat, sometimes for digestion. Yep, we covered that. There's apparently multiple definitions of like bloodedness, right? So apparently cold-blooded and warm-blooded is not really scientifically used anymore. So instead, what they have, I have a few definitions here. There is endotherms, which rely on heat, mesotherms, which is in the middle, and there's like warm and cold-blooded. Like it seems like the terminology has since changed. Like we use it all the time in our own terminology, but at least at this point, in terms of scientific usage, it's not used anymore for cold-bloodedness, but people still kind of define it as that to some degree. Oh, odds are low, but never none. Oh my gosh. Mainly, they're in the Everglades trees around where nobody is, but have seen headlines about them falling on people. That just seems so crazy to me. I don't get it, man. Ay. You see, I'm almost tempted to keep one as a pet if you say something like that, because there's so many of them. But they're untrained. That's the thing. You can't have those things. They're probably going to poop and pee everywhere. Jeez. But yeah. No. No pet lizard. We're getting consensus from the chat that no. Well, that's why we have chat to keep things accountable. Bad idea, I guess. That is funny. Oh boy. Just transfer them all into the zoo. Maybe. I don't even think that's a good idea, because the zoo probably couldn't keep them all. Poor Violas is probably space. Violas said he was checking on emails earlier. That's what he was doing. We actually documented a very interesting dragon, by the way. Speaking of, we documented the Nerdo, if I remember correctly. This was the bird dragon, nonetheless. This is a beautiful dragon. We found quite a few of these species. More like, well, I know this one in particular. I don't know of many other bird dragons out there, but it's also probably because the VR chat Japanese community is kind of like its own subculture. I cannot pronounce things today. Subculture. So that's one thing. This is like a Japanese related one. But it's
very much so.
I think it was a good find, if I'm being real, though. I really like the design of the guys. But yes, he's technically a dragon. He is, unfortunately, have been confirmed a cannibal. He has eaten other birds. Oh, and here's another one. This one is called none other than the Swaria. Swaria is a very beautiful bird. In terms of like the Swaria itself, I actually did not do a whole bunch of studying, but I have studied this Swaria in particular. I've studied that one. It's a very, very nice burb. You redeemed 300 deep breaths? Holy cow, dude!
Is that even possible?
Woo!
Oh. You did.
Hi, Cheese!
Hey, Cheese.
Very good to see you. He goes, blah. Blah, 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 blah. It's very good to see you. You caught us at the tail end of the stream. We have been talking all about dragons today. We finally got through a whole bunch of pictures and everything about birds and dragons. We documented this one. We documented dragon tales, how to train your dragon, Diggery-Doo, all those guys. Like, this is important lore that we must understand all about dragons. Redeemed 3,000. Holy cow. You know what that means, right? We're gonna have a whole dedicated stream to just relax and have a good time. This is gonna be great. Also, Jimmy, congratulations. You are the first person to redeem it. Let's go. That's awesome. But yes, we do have a conclusion, by the way. We can either stay on this one or we can go back to the original image. I kind of like this one because we didn't get to see it very much. But in general, what in the world do dragons represent to us, right? So at the very end of it, that's kind of where we have a lot of different information that has been thrown at us. So I have two different sections here. It talks about what do dragons represent, and then how does this intertwine with music in general, right? So, okay, Cheese, for context, this was only meant to be one stream. So about that, we accidentally discovered one of the coolest kind of formats ever, which is interviewing a burb. It was amazing. Viola's over here. He's a master's in the art that he's shooting for. Well, he's an upcoming master's, we want to say, because he hasn't gotten his paper that says he graduated. but he's getting very, very close. We talked about that. That was the interview. That was episode 1. Episode 2 was that we started talking about music in general. Episode number 3 is this one, all about dragons. So this was all supposed to be one thing. I think it's clear why it took so long is because I put a ton of stuff in here, and I'm realizing a 3-parter may be a lot for next time. So that's what's been going on. Hopefully things have been going all right on your side, Cheese. We have been having at it throughout this entire time. We have streamed a grand total of roughly almost 9 hours for this entire series. If we were to look at OBS right now, we're almost at the 9-hour mark, but we're at 2 hours 20 minutes for this particular stream, which is crazy. I didn't expect this to go that long. Will Kindle end the stream in less than an hour? Oh my gosh, I don't know. You guys can like vote on that if you want. That's something that that Jimmy put up. Okay, let's jump back over here, shall we? How in the world does music, or sorry, how in the world do we represent dragons in real life, right? They are very, very symbolic things. So I mentioned in here that there's a lot of different references to dragons. In Japan, they represent dragons as potentially rivers, right? We have a river like right in front of us. You can't see it, but it's part of the environment that we're in. Dragons themselves also showed themselves as protectors. They showed themselves as like very big beasts that you could potentially take on and defeat. Or in the context of a beautiful documentary known as How to Train Your Dragon, they can be loved on and embraced. So there are very interesting aspects of dragons that play out in real life. And in fact, something that I can directly reference from my engineering friends, see, we sometimes call our tasks dragons, because these tasks themselves are really big. We say, oh, this is a dragon. This one's got 2 heads. It's really, really big. And yet we managed to get through the whole thing. A spicy jelly bean. Oh dear. Okay. Fine. We'll go ahead and have one. Oh, hey, actually, it's like right here. No, I lied. It's right here. So you have given us a way to relax for an entire stream. We're gonna have to schedule that one ASAP, but then you have tortured us for this stream as well. Is that what I understand, Mr. Jimmy? So this is either gonna be a Cayenne or a Carolina Reaper. Gonna be one of those two. It's so weird because this whole thing is based off of, yeah, my gosh. The whole spicy jelly bean thing is based off of the Bean Boozled game. But if I'm being real, I don't think there's any winning move in this game because everything's spicy. And I am buying time, so I might as well just go down the hatch here. Okay. Let's see if we got like the least spicy or the most spicy. If I start getting the most spicy, I'll hiccup. Oh. Both sound awful. This one's okay. It's not the worst. Oh, never mind. It hit my throat. Oh. In terms of like actual taste, it's not terrible. I can get through it. So I think I got lucky. I don't think this was Carolina Reaper by any means. Oh my gosh. It's still really intense in my mouth. For some reason these expire though, by the way. I have may or may not accidentally bought 6 of these, so don't tell anyone. I mean, I only have 1 bag. What are you talking about? I don't have actually 6, and I didn't mean to actually accidentally buy a whole bunch of them. What are you talking about? Anyway, Yeah, so if for whatever English dying, if for whatever reason these expire, I can open up a new bag and we'll still have like really hot stuff. So whatever. Okay. So, in terms of like the dragons themselves, in Japan they talk about rivers, Diggery-Doo. Oh yeah, can't forget about Mr. Diggery-Doo. Diggery-Doo is that little anxiety dragon. He's teaching us how to make sure that we can work with our emotions and our frustrations, right? So, okay. Ender Dragon is a very interesting one. I have in my notes, I have an idea of what this is. Yep. So, one thing, I'm going to go ahead and spoil a really old game. It's called Minecraft. At the very end of Minecraft, what happens is that you defeat the Ender Dragon, right? So, at the end of it, though, you see a conversation between two higher entities that wind up discussing a lot more about who the player is and what they're doing. They describe the player as being in a dream when they're hanging out in the land of Minecraft. So, in general, the Ender Dragon very much represents a mental challenge. Even though it's one that you would go out and fight, it's something that you have to kind of fight against mentally, right? Because they talk about eventually going outside and really seeing the world for what it is. And it's a very interesting message that gets talked about by those two higher entities. In general, though, what does this all really talk about? That's what's very fascinating. Dragons themselves, from the engineering standpoint, a big challenge. Minecraft, a very big mental challenge. Diggery-Doo, very anxious dragon, but he learns how to be able to get past things. In Japan, they have very big cautionary tales about the rivers themselves, yet you can fight things off if you know how to do it the right way. It's all very fascinating. The way that it concludes to me is that dragons themselves very much have a life of their own, beyond what we saw in the Bible as well, right? In the Bible, they talk about a living, breathing dragon. We don't see those in the modern sense now because dragons and dinosaurs themselves are extinct. When it comes down to dragons here, they represent a lot of challenges that we do face, and it's very interesting. In this case, like, if you end up taking on a dragon or being able to embrace that dragon in terms of chaos, you have the ability to really understand the environment around you, right? Imagine you're like doing a shift at work, or you have a whole new career change, right? That's a whole different thing you have to slay. There's a whole bunch of anxiety, there's a whole bunch of unknowns, and yet at the very end of it, you're still gonna be there somehow because you have to face it. You know, it's interesting. I have a section down here that goes all about how this intertwines with music. And this is where we talk about stuff with Mr. Violas, right? So right here, music itself can be, and I say can be, a dragon, a challenge to be faced. But you know what's interesting about Violas? He's a very interesting case because despite it being a huge dragon, a very big challenge, Violas didn't necessarily fight a dragon. He embraced the dragon. He understood how it works, and he's understanding how it works every day. He's talking to his students about how to navigate these very big perils, these very big difficulties. And ever so slowly, ever so surely, as he gets to his masters, he is embodying that dragon. And I think that's very interesting because whether he realizes this or not, and I'll be real, like I made this up, okay? So I'm only making this connection right here. But he is a bird dragon right here. He has become very powerful. The abilities that he has accumulated over the years, slowly understanding how the dragon works, just like how to train your dragon, it's been possible to get through a dragon, be able to embrace its power, and be able to become as strong as ever. So Violas himself, he's very powerful. He not only fought a dragon, he turned into a dragon. and not one that you would slay. In fact, he became extraordinarily powerful, and he's showing others how to become a dragon too, in order to embrace the thing that was otherwise chaos before, right? From my perspective, I'm at like a level 0, level 1 music enjoyer enthusiast to some degree. I can't make music, I can enjoy it, I can respect it. He's taken his pathway to get all the way to where he is right now, so where he can compose and build and create stuff based off of that dragon of a craft. I could fight a bearded dragon? A bearded dragon? What? I'm confused. But yes. Dragons are powerful, right? When it comes down to it, I remember something that an engineer once said. Well, more around like something I learned, right? Back in the heyday when we focused a lot on a swear word in engineering now known as jQuery. Excuse me. jQuery is an interesting system. It worked in tandem with JavaScript, but we wanted to be able to focus on performance improvements in our application. But what did we have to do in order to get rid of this dragon we called jQuery? We had to become jQuery to defeat jQuery, because we had to understand how it ticked. Therefore, we built our own functions that are much more simple. We were able to cut things down performance-wise, like the performance graph, it went down. But because we understood jQuery, we took it on, and we mastered it. Viola's aside, he's doing something different, right? He's understanding music, he's creating his own music, and he's creating his own patterns. He has become a dragon, he's embodied the very big system that we call music, and he is able to masterfully take it on. He is an example of being able to take things on straight out with absolute power and strength. So, in general, the dragons aren't something that I would say you should just fight, right? If you fight a dragon, you're going to feel a lot of whiplash and a lot of pain, and sometimes it feels that way. Getting through it is what is very important, and that is something that he has been learning way better than how I can articulate, because he can play it. He understands it very well, and that's an example that's worth understanding. Quit stalling and end stream, bruh. I can talk for as long as I want to, buddy boy. Let's see. Let me look at the rest of my notes instead of fighting the dragon. Yeah, that's basically what I said. The powerful in general. Yup. That's pretty much what it was. If you want me in the stream, that's basically what it is. But, guys, we did it. That was Music and Dragons, featuring Viola's On Fire as an amazing special guest and a beautiful innovator of music. Viola's, I want to say personally, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. It was really fun. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, no problem. I had a ton of fun too.
Oh my goodness. It was great. There was a lot of stuff to cover in here. I'll be very realistic. Like, in terms of, like, what we did here in this stream, let me just say that was an accident. I didn't mean for all that to be that much. But I think we managed to get a lot in there. I think that was really cool. This shatters records that we had previously in terms of, like, how long we've actually done a series like this. Because every time we've done one, it has been in the span of 3 to 4 hours. In this case, we have gone through a total of 8 to 9 hours. So, that's a lot. Holy cow. In terms of next kind of things, I want to be able to describe some cool things in the future. It is thanks to Violas for helping to change the future that, like, we want to do some more interviews with other people. I want to openly say that in the announcements of Chillferno, we actually have a special Google form that was created just for this purpose. If you are going into a profession and you understand it quite well, or if you are an enthusiast for it, if you're a student for it, these are kind of acceptable criteria. We would like to learn more about you. If you're interested in talking more about your craft, we have a full capacity to talk about it for up to 2 to 3 hours. And I'm not joking when I say that. Based off of what we did and we hung out with Violas, we got to know him so well for up to 2 to 3 hours, and it was really, really awesome near the very start. So, like, absolutely, it's possible to be able to bring you on stream if you would like to hang out and be able to talk about your craft or whatever. This is an open invitation. If you'd like to, we have a good form. It talks about, okay, what kind of things do you like about your craft? What are some things people might not know about? All that sort of stuff. So, if you have a craft and you have a good passion for it, it can be anything, right? So, I don't have a profession on this. I've been a Linux enthusiast for 10, 13 years. All right, so it doesn't need a degree. You just need somebody who's very passionate about it. You don't have to have an art degree. You don't have to have a degree on skydiving. Maybe you just done skydiving all your life, I guess. Like, this is the kind of stuff where you can go intricate. Doesn't need a degree. Doesn't need, like, anything professional. It just needs somebody that's absolutely passionate about what they love. So, if you're interested in potentially doing that, I'm going to refer you to that form. I really wanted to actually link it down into my Twitch profile down below. And we'll do that later down here as we continue down the series. But for the most part, it pretty much talks about one aspect of the Just Chatting. That is the interviews. We're also going to be continuing doing the person placer thing. In upcoming, we are going to be doing a conceptual topic. I am tempted to veto what the topic is just because I really, really like it. But I'm also tempted to just see what people are generally interested in. So we could do that. It may be a mix. I normally let the community pick what kind of conceptual topic it'll be, but I may veto it just because this could be a very interesting one that I've always wanted to kind of talk about in general. So, person, placer thing, that's one. We have conceptual and then interviews. We're going to cycle through those things throughout the entire year, which means that if you want to be interviewed, you get a shot once every 3 months, and that's important to understand. There is one entry per person, and if you don't get selected right away, there's a chance that you might also be able to get interviewed later down the road. The point is that we get an understanding and a grounding of what you would like to talk about, and then we can move forward. And if it butters you up, one person already decided to submit in the form. If you want to hang out and you want to be able to be on the interview as well, why don't you go ahead and type something in? You're more than welcome to. We already have one coming down the pipeline here in about a couple months, so you're more than welcome to. With that out of the way, that completes the entire series. I appreciate y'all being able to hang out today. It was awesome. And once again, I appreciate you, Burp, so much. You, Burb, are a pioneer, and I appreciate it. Okay. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for tonight. It was really awesome to hang out with y'all. We managed to get through about 9 hours worth of content. I appreciate Burb for being a trooper on this one too, because this was very long. We'll go ahead and find somebody to raid out to today. Let's go ahead and see who is online. Wah. Let's go over to twitch.tv. 2 hours and 38 minutes, y'all. We got through it. Let's see what we got here. Well, we might as well go ahead and hang out with... We have raided out to him quite often. How about... Let me double check and see what this guy's up to. I think we'll go ahead and raid out to Mr. Cheesebeagle. The other person I was looking at, he's got like a NSFW kind of filter on at the moment. So, well, in terms of like stream rating, that's what it is. So, raid Cheesebeagle. If y'all haven't seen Cheesebeagle just yet, he is a very fine individual. He typically will do a lot of drawing, and he enjoys a good time with his friends. So, if you guys wind up stopping by to say hi, you're more than welcome to stop by. Also, we got plans this week for streaming, finally. For one, we're going to be playing We Were Here tomorrow with none other than Starcross. And then also, I'm hoping by Wednesday or Thursday, there is a type of stream of which I need to experiment with first, but there will be more details. It may or may not involve trains. So, we'll be catching you guys later. Hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. See you later.